I'm back with more review of the Mordenkainen's Fiendish Folio monster review. If you're curious what I'm talking about, there's another video I've already done covering monsters that went from A to E. This time, we're going to be covering monsters that fall into the letters F through L. So if you want to see what those monsters are and my thoughts on them, stay tuned. Here I am on D&D Beyond. You can see it right here. I went through what it was and all the stuff behind it in the previous video. So let's just jump right into the monsters. So we'll start with monsters letter F rather, which starts with the Forlorn, which are a weird sort of evil satyr type creature. This is just disgusting compared to what I think of when I think of a satyr. My go-to satyr in my brain is like Mr. Tumnus from Narnia, the Narnia books, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And I think about the movie, the more recent movie version of that, and that's what sticks in my mind. But anyway, we have a medium Fey, chaotic and neutral here. 45 hit points, 16 AC. It's a challenge rating 3. Nothing too crazy. Dark vision only up to 30 feet, which is a little interesting. Advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. Some innate spell casting. DC 14, but at will, expeditious retreat, false life, minor illusion, prestidigitation. 3 times a day each. Aid, misty step, Tasha's hideous laughter. And then once per day each, heal, heat metal, and mirror image. So this is a decent Fey spread, I'll call it, of interesting different spells that kind of deal with beguilement, healing, as well as sort of survivability, right? So you have minor illusion, prestidigitation, misty step, and mirror image, ways to sort of obscure yourself, cause possibly a little bit of havoc. Tasha's hideous laughter, a good way to shut someone down. But then you've got things like heal, which is just a big old bunch of hit points, or heat metal, which can do horrible things to heavy armor wearers. And then they have multi-attack, 2 claw attacks, 1 gore attack, or it makes 3 chromatic ray attacks. So claw is just a +5 to hit a d6 +3 damage. Gore is +5 to hit and a d8. Claw is a d6 +3 damage. Gore is a d8 +3 damage. And chromatic ray is a range of 60 feet, a +6 to hit, and does 1d6 +3 lightning damage, plus 1d6 cold damage. That's kind of a weird one for me. Also, if you look at the image, the claws look a lot more gnarly than the horns, so I find it interesting that the claws, which look almost like eagle talons down here, are a d6, and these tiny little baby horns are the gore, which does 1d8 damage. And then it has this weird chromatic ray ability. I don't know. A group of them could be pretty interesting. It's challenge rating 3. You throw maybe like 3 to 5 of these at a party of lower levels. The spell casting will probably be what really hurts them. If everybody's got mirror image up, maybe they cast heat metal, or they can heal each other. They also could make an interesting NPC for the party to interact with that they may want to bring along to the what end, who knows. But if they have someone that has heal on their team, that can go a long way to keep the party alive and let you guys keep fighting. So next up we have a giant. I don't think I really need to go through too much about what a giant is, but this one is a fog giant. So let's take a look at this. Looks like they sort of fall into the cloud giant range. And they're outcasts of the bottom of the ordning, known as fog giants. This one looks really cool. It almost looks subterranean with the big kind of black lidlet or pupilless eyes, rather. 200 hit points, 16 AC. It's a challenge rating 11, so it's right up there in the mid-range for giants. Con, Wisdom, and Charisma saves, and a big old passive perception of +17, so that could be pretty hard to sneak up on them. During its turn, the fog giant ignores the effects of fog cloud spells cast by it or other allied fog giants. Okay. Advantage on perception checks that rely on smell, and innately it can cast to detect magic, fog, cloud, and light. And 3 times per day each at Feather Fall and Misty Step. So again, Fog Cloud is a good battlefield control spell, but if you can see through it, that's pretty sweet. As an action, it makes 2 great sword attacks and casts Fog Cloud. So that makes it pretty brutal, right? It's going to cast the Fog Cloud, make it Enemy attacks at disadvantage. You're hidden from the enemy, so you're at advantage, and you can see through it. And you get to make 2 attacks after you do that. And your attacks have 10-foot reach, plus 12 to hit, and do 66 plus 8 damage. Your throne rocked as a fog giant is plus 12 to hit, a range of 60 to 40, 40-10 plus 8 bludgeoning damage. And then you have Petty Tyrant, which recharges on a 6. You shed a blood-curdling threat at the creatures that serve it. Each medium or smaller ally of the giant within 120 feet of it that can see or hear it uses its reaction to make a melee attack. So again, something like that really truly benefits from when you have it, plus several minions fighting a party. Even if it's just one giant, not a group of fog giants, that could go a long way. Alright, we have a Germ Lane. I don't know what this is. Proof that terrible things can come in tiny packages. Tiny foot-tall forms can barely contain the cruelty and malevolence that courses through them. Well, lives deep in the Underdark. Looks sort of like I guess I would imagine this more like a gremlin type creature. Challenge rating 1/8, 3 hit points, 11 AC. So they're not going to be doing too much. They are neutral evil, and they are tiny. You can see them there with a mouse in the little image here. Blind sight and dark vision up to 30 feet. It does not tell us how far the blind sight is. It is invisible to dark vision, which is dangerous. Advantage on saving throws against spells and magical effects. It can speak and understand rats and giant rats. It adds 1d4 to each of its weapon rolls while within 5 feet of another conscious germ lane. So they kind of have a swarming ability here. And then not a ton of damage, right? -1 to hit, 1d4 -3 bludgeoning damage, and +3 to hit, 20-60 on a dub as a club. The dart is +3 to hit, 20-60 range, 1d4 +1 piercing damage. I mean, again, they're challenge rating 1/8, so you're not going to run into... They're not going to be a challenge for too long. But they're going to add an extra d4 to weapon rolls, and if you put a couple of them next to one another, and they're invisible to dark vision, and they have blind sight, so they can do a lot of interesting stuff by sneaking up on a party. The Kargra, flying creature from the elemental plane of Earth that devours any metal it encounters. That is terrifying. That looks like a Zorn, almost exactly, right? The mouth on the top, on the 3 legs, but it can fly. Challenge rating 1/8. It is small size, 11 hit points, 20 AC. It's bite attack. Bite, +3 to hit, 1d4 +1 piercing damage. And the target must make a DC 15 con save, taking 76 poison damage on a failed save. And if the target is wearing metal armor or carrying a metal shield, it attaches to that armor or shield. While attached, it doesn't attack. Instead, at the start of each of its turns, roll a d20. On a 10 or higher, the armor or shield takes a permanent cumulative -1 penalty to the AC it offers. Armor reduced to an AC of 10 or a shield that drops its bonus to a total of +0 is destroyed. It can detach itself by spending 5 feet of its movement. A creature, including the target, can use its action to detach the Kargra. Oh, I also forgot. It has Iron Scent. It can scent the location. I think I'm supposed to be scent the location of ferrous metal within 30 feet of it. Now, what's interesting is it doesn't say anything about it being magic or non-magic, so this thing can latch onto your magical armor or your magical shield and permanently ruin it. Earth phasing. Until the end of its next turn, it can fly through non-magical earth and stone. While doing so, it doesn't disturb the material it moves through. It can end its movement within earth or stone, but if it remains within earth or stone when this ability ends, it takes 4d6 force damage and immediately moves to the nearest unoccupied space. And reactions are one reaction is opportunistic hunger. When a creature that the Kargra can see within 5 feet of it hits it with a metal weapon, it can make a bite attack against that creature. So if you hit it with a metal weapon, it can possibly get a chance to latch onto you. These things, while only a challenge rating 1/8, are dangerous because they can ruin your fancy smancy armor. So be on the lookout for these guys. And lastly, in our F through L section here, we have the Killmoulis. Mouli, I don't know if it's French, I don't know. It can either be a bane or boon to an adventuring party. When kept well fed with tasty treats, this creature is a helpful assistant that mends armor, collects herbs, and makes the blandest rations into a feast, and turns a dull, uncomfortable campsite into a welcoming refuge. But if a party abuses or neglects it, the creature's mean-spirited thirst for revenge can turn even the simplest expedition into a draining ordeal that leaves adventurers tired, dispirited, and sullen. That is weird. I immediately think of Gonzo from the Muppets. And if I were to put one in one of my games, I would name it Gonzo. So it's a tiny fey creature, 7 hit points, 14 AC, a challenge rating of 0. And it has a slam attack, -1 to hit for 1 bludgeoning damage, which is kind of not why you would want to have this. It does have telepathy too, out to 60 feet. And then the Blessing of Bountiful Generosity once per day. It targets up to 8 creatures within 100 feet of it that it can see. The next time a target finishes a long rest, it regains all spent hit dice and gains 10 temporary hit points. Or once per day, the Curse of Poor Hospitality. It targets up to 8 creatures within 100 feet of it that it can see. The next time a target completes a long rest, it does not regain spent hit dice. So, what's kind of a bummer is mechanically, it's really hampered in what it can and can't do. Excuse me. It just has its slam attack and its kind of little benefits regarding hit dice regainment. But the way it described it here in the description, the flavor was really strong about turning bland rations into a feast, helping mend armor, all this stuff. It sounds like super cool. But again, it's your game, you're the DM, make it whatever you want it to be and let it do whatever you want it to do. But mechanically, for those people who don't have the creativity or don't want to dive into coming up with creative means of what this creature can and can't do, I would have liked to have seen more explained in the stat block. Again, I'm a veteran DM. I have no problem coming up with, based on the little bit of flavor text we have, what this thing is capable of doing, how it could aid or be a detriment to a party. But someone who's new, or again, maybe just doesn't have the time, you're just like, oh, it can give you some more hit points and hit dice and give you temporary hit points. Cool, that's all it does. And it can make you not regain hit dice. Meh. The way it describes it in the flavor text, it sounds significantly better and significantly worse. So, I don't know. Take it for what you will. So anyway, guys, that's my review of Mordenkainen's Fiendish Folio Volume 1, Monsters F through L. Thank you all so much for understanding that I had a lot going on and letting me take a break from videos for a couple days so I could focus on family and get my life back in order. And now I'm going to be rolling back out with continuous videos for the next foreseeable future, taking a short break around the holidays, just basically for the day, for New Year's and for Christmas. But for the most part, you should have brand new videos here on the channel almost every day. I'm going to be trying to get my live stream schedule back on track for world building and character building, and I'm also hoping to return the Fix-It series to its prime spot here on the channel, where we fix issues that we have or you have with 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, whether it be class or otherwise. So feel free to leave ideas in the comments down below. Let me know what your favorite of these 5 monsters are. I think the Killmoulis Gonzo is my favorite from these because I can do a lot of interesting stuff. And I think I want to put one in my game. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you at the next one, where it's going to be Monsters M through R.